Hey everyone. All right, it's the 18th of January and I wanted to release the alpha release of the new scheduler for xLights. It's not feature complete. It has a player in it. It has a scheduler in it. It's been tested, but not exhaustively. In fact, not thoroughly at all. As I've stumbled across things, I've fixed them, but I've been so busy adding stuff and running stuff, etc., that it's been quite difficult to get there, and I've only just shaken the last bugs out of it in the last few minutes, so I'm sure we're going to have some teething issues as we go through it. But I'd really like to get it into your hands and let you have a bit of a play with it. Interested in all feedback that you might have, suggestions, etc. At this point in time, I'm not rushing to add new features and functions. There's plenty in there already, and there are some others that will find their way in by the end of January. But I wanted to spend a little bit of time and walk you through how to install it, because it's not like a regular xLights install. And how you can run it, and maybe walk you through a couple of little functions so you can get your head around it. So to start with, I will have posted a link to my Dropbox to this zip file. It contains 3 files: an executable, a map file, a properties file, and a folder. All of these need to be placed into your xLights folder, ideally version 56 that you've recently downloaded. Here's mine in my program files x86 xLights folder. And so I'm just going to copy these files over and drop them into that folder. You'll probably need administrative access because it's a protected folder. And when that's done, you will have the xSchedule application. To run the scheduler, close that. To run the scheduler, you just double click on it and up it comes. Now, the first time it comes up, it's going to come up with this warning. You do need to grant it access. The new scheduler does act as a web server, and so you do want it to be able to talk to your networks. So we'll allow that access. We'll stop everything that was running there, and I'll walk you through the UI. So the UI's got a couple of elements to it. At the top, we've got some menus. There's something up here to set your show folder. If you've never used it before, it will pop up and ask you. And in fact, let's do this. Let's go and actually switch it to a new directory, because it is a little bit different. So let's call it test. Oh, of course I do. Let's just call it new folder. Damn it, that'll do. Okay. All right, we'll come in. Okay, so this is how it will come up when you first start it. You'll have the menus. You'll have some indicators across the top here, some buttons down the below that will be all disabled, and then the folder that you're in. There will be the menus up here. There's a tools menu. The view log will work. The check schedule does nothing at the moment, and the options will bring up some options. These options, generally speaking, you shouldn't really need to play with these at all. I suggest you leave all of the top stuff alone. If you want to play with the PJ Link projector control stuff, you will need to put your IP address of your projector up in this top table. That's definitely not well tested. But it is in there, so it should work. It should work if I got the code right. Down here, you've got your buttons. Now, these are the default buttons that it comes with. You can actually delete these buttons. The concept that I'm working on is that as I've spoken to people about the scheduler, it's turned out that pretty much all of you use the scheduler slightly differently. And so rather than trying to build a UI that satisfies everyone's needs and just confuses everyone, I figured what I'd do is I'd offer a base set of buttons, which you can remove or delete, and then the ability for you to add additional buttons. And the way that works is you click on the add button over here, and you go up and you can choose from all of these commands. And all of these commands are things that you can do. So if I decide, for instance, that I want a button that will set the brightness to 50%. So I'm going to say, I'm going to call this half bright. Now, of course, there's no documentation on all of this, so hopefully you can determine things by looking at it. You can also define a hotkey. I don't know, H sounds like a good thing for half bright. And it adds it onto the list here. And when you click OK, there is now a half bright. And if I click on it, the brightness indicator up here, which shows just how bright all your lights are going to be. This is a pretty blunt way to make your lights bright. It just basically dims every channel by 50%. So you may not want to do it that way if you're not running all pixels. But yeah, that button now just works and does that. And then there's a whole other bunch of buttons for doing all sorts of things, including starting songs and jumping to the end of things and all sorts of things. So have a look. The next thing we need to do is add a playlist. So let's add a playlist. Now, actually, before I do that, sorry, let me quickly just move some stuff into that new folder that we created so that we don't have to go fishing around every 2 seconds for songs and the like. Where is it? There it is. By type. Okay, so I've got a little 10-second song that I've been using. And a bunch of xSequence files. I don't know. We'll just grab a whole bunch of them. We'll grab those and we'll put it in what we call it, new folder, wasn't it? There it is. Okay. So we'll go and add a playlist. We can give it a name. We don't have to give it a name, but let's call it, I don't know, playlist 1. You do have the option of saying you want to play something at the beginning once and something at the end once, and you also have a chance of setting priority, although I think I'll actually strip that out because I don't think it makes any sense anymore now that I've actually moved that into the scheduler. Within a playlist, you can then add steps. So the concept of a step, and you don't have, you can just jump that, but the concept of a step is a set of activities that all occur at once. Generally speaking, you're going to do one thing, you're going to play a song with an FSCQ file and you're going to put out some lights. But there may be some other things you want to do at the same time, such as run a background sequence, use an eSequence file, or potentially turn your projector on or off, or a whole bunch of other things that you might want to do at exactly the same time, play a video, that sort of thing. And so you can go and create steps. And then within steps, you can add something. So you might want to just show a video, which of course I didn't copy any videos, which is a bit frustrating, but that's okay. Let's browse and choose a video. I think I've got some videos in here. Okay, when you play a video, you can click on the position video and this dialog gets up, and you can resize it and you can say, I just want to show that video down there. Typically you'd put it onto a screen, you'd make it full screen so that it would be on a projector or something. And that's fine. I'll click OK when you're done, and then I can go over and I can add something else into the same step. So I might add in an FSCQ file. So I browse into my folder, which is my new folder, and I grab, I don't know, this song here is a little 10-second song. All right. You are able to actually play multiple FSCQ at once and blend things together. I haven't really tested this yet, but all the code's there. So in theory, you can play two outputs at once and blend them together in a fairly blunt way, right? They just override all the channel data, or blend the data together. You can also override the audio file. If you override it and don't put an audio file name in, it will just strip the audio out of the sequence. And you can also set volume here at an individual song level. So you can say, well, it's a really loud song and I want to lower the volume, etc. Again, there's a priority, and once again, the priority is important here because the priority is the thing that controls the order in which they are blended. So the highest priority item appears at the top and will overwrite anything underneath it, or sit at the top and be the top layer, if you like. When it comes time to add your next step, you're going to add your next song. You can actually come up to the top here and add directly. You don't have to add the step first. You can do things like add a command. So a command here will do something like, we'll add something called Notepad. Oh, sorry, this is a command, not a process. Sorry, we'll go back up here and we'll add a process. Hang on, what have I done? We'll add a step. And we'll put that process up into that step. All right, so running a process is something like I don't know, running Notepad, any Windows process, and you can even say wait for completion, so it'll pop up Notepad and wait for it to be closed again. This one down here, the run command, basically actually lets you run any of those other commands that you were putting on a button for. You can do over here. So you can do things like adjust the volume down, adjust the volume by -10%. So we'll reduce it by 10%, and at that point in the song. So let's click OK. The disk icon's now here. We'll save it. And now we can go here and click on it, and it shows everything. You can see that the Notepad one takes no time because there's nothing in it that's got any duration, and the run command takes no time as well because it just launches the command, and then the 10-second song happens. So if I play this, I will expect it to launch Notepad and wait for me to close it, play the song for 10 seconds, and then lower the volume by 10%. So we do that, there's Notepad. You can see that it's waiting for us. We close Notepad. Now our song started, our video's shown up down here in the corner where we told it to. You can't hear the song, but I can. 10 seconds later, the volume got lowered by 10% and the sequence finishes. Now, it is possible to play them in a loop, and we obviously would need to go and create a button for that. So let's go and add a button called loop. We want to play the selected playlist in a loop. We don't need any parameters for that. It looks good. We'll do save that. So now there's this loop button. Now you can't order the buttons yet, but you will be able to eventually. We've got that playlist selected. We click on loop, up comes Notepad, plays the video for 10 seconds, lowers the volume to 80%, as it did, and then fires Notepad back up again, and around it goes again. So that's how you can create playlists, and you can create several of them, and then we can go ahead and we can schedule them. Actually, let's loop that. Actually, let's edit that again. Let's go and get rid of our Notepad step, and let's. You can also add just straight audio, which doesn't send any data out. You can also add something that displays just an image on the screen. You might use that again on a HDMI type output instead of a video. The all set lets you set the data for set the output data to a particular value for a range of channels. So you might have a bunch of stuff that's done, and at a certain time of night you just want everything on, and so you just want to override whatever in the FSCQ sequence and just turn it all on or turn it all off. That sort of thing is also possible. Delay just pauses. And I think that's the interesting ones right now. Let's add an audio just quickly. We'll add our 10-second song in just as an audio track. Again, you can control volume. And we'll save it again. Okay, so let's quickly kick it off again, looping. There's a couple other icons that have shown up here. The first one tells us that we're playing. You can actually pause it or not. Not sure why that's actually not allowing us to output to lights. I'm going to have to look into that. It was yesterday, so I've broken it sometime between now and yesterday. That may be a problem for you if you're trying to actually drive lights, but I'll try and get that fixed in the next 24 hours. This here tells you that you manually started playing the playlist as opposed to kicking it off via a schedule. This is disabled at the moment or not highlighted, which says it's playing everything sequentially. If you click on it, it becomes random, although with only 3 steps, it's not going to work. This tells us that we're looping. If I chose to click on this, it would then hold it on whatever the current step was and just loop that step forever. So if you want to play the same song over and over again quickly, you can do that or release it. This is the brightness. Like I said, it's a fairly blunt mechanism, and then you've got the volume, which you can increase and decrease. Over here, you can see there's a green and a yellow item highlighted. The green item is the current item. The yellow item is the next item. The reason why it keeps skipping the run command is a good question. I'm not sure. It would make sense if that was set to once only, but it's not. So there's a problem in there somewhere. Another one. Okay, so let's stop that. Still would like to know why I can't click on that. All right, to schedule it, you right click on it and you click schedule. And here you have a bunch of properties that control when the playlist gets scheduled. You can give it a name, you don't have to. This is the first date it will run. This is the last date it will run. You can just ignore the year if you click on every year. These are the days of the week it will run. So within that date range, it actually won't run on every day. It has to match the selected days down here, the start time and the end time. Now, if the end time is less than the start time, then it will play across midnight. So if you set this to be 1 o'clock, sorry, the off time down here to be 1 o'clock, then it would play from 9 p.m. until 1 a.m., which I know everyone's been asking for a while. This tells you that when it plays, it should loop. Obviously, if you don't loop the playlist, then it will kick off at the start time, but because you haven't asked it to loop, it will play through once and stop. It won't keep starting. You need to click loop. Max loops allows you to say only play through this many times. Generally speaking, I'm not sure when you'd use that, but it's there. Shuffle says play the songs randomly during that time. And then priority is the priority of this schedule. So if for some reason you have multiple overlapping schedules, the highest priority one is the one that will run. And when that one finishes, then a lower priority one that's still available will kick in and run as well. And so if we kick that off right now, it comes up and it tells me that that particular playlist is ready to run now. And on the minute, I think it is, it should kick in and actually run it, I believe. Hope so. We'll find out in 12 seconds. Okay, and there it did. It kicked in on the minute and starts to run. Now, it only checks to see whether a song should start at each minute. That way, it's not spending a lot of time churning and getting hot. doing things. You can schedule the same playlist multiple times. So if you decide that, well, actually, I've got one that's for my weeknight schedule. What's tonight? Wednesday, because I don't want to run now. I'll click OK. And not only that, but it tells you here at what time and date it will next actually trigger. If you set something in the past, so if I was to schedule this and say 2017, click OK, it comes up and says never. And that means that schedule will never actually trigger because it's obviously in the past and it's not going to happen. So, look, I think that's probably most of the interesting things on here. You can see this icon's now a calendar showing that it's playing a schedule. There are a bunch of other things that I still do need to put in, and as you see, there are a couple of problem areas where it's not now turning the lights on and off and things like that. So I'll try and get those fixed, but it won't be tonight. It'll be tomorrow. But this will at least give you a chance to play around with it and see how it works. So have fun, guys. Thanks.